everybody, so I've turned my bike upside down because I want to show you something. I want to show you something you see every day, okay? Watch this. When I pedal, surprise, surprise, the wheel spins. When I stop pedaling, the pedals don't spin around flailing my carbs, they stay still, and they do that because of the freewheel. Now the freewheel is immensely useful in things like flywheel generators, but what exactly is it? This is an Archimedes catapult, and what we've got right here is a ratchet and that's a pole. This works because as I bend that round to tighten up the catapult, this prevents it from coming that way. And it does it because this is in the way. The pole stops that unwinding. If I pull the pole out of the way, the catapult fires. That is exactly what's in a freewheel. And it's in a freewheel because remember, motion is relative. In the same way that we can think of that as pushing that way, we can equally think of that as pushing that way. It's identical. So I made this, yes, on my 3D printer. There is my ratchet right there. Now, if I were to put a pole in there and push the pole, it would push this outer wheel round. What I've got here is a couple of poles. If I put that on there and I turn that, it will turn this. But because the poles are in that direction, this can continue to turn even when this one isn't. So as I put that in and turn it, it will turn. When I stop that, that will continue to turn. Let's have a look at the drawing to better explain that. So here is a drawing. This cream wheel is the driven wheel. The orange here is the lower section of the driving wheel. If we look at the top of the cream wheel, what we've got here is the ratchet, and you can see that in the orange driving wheel we've got two poles. As that driving wheel is turned, the poles engage with the ratchet and they drive the driven wheel in the same direction as the orange wheel is turning. But when the orange wheel stops turning, if the cream driven wheel has momentum, it will continue to turn in the same direction, and of course that pushes the poles out of the way, and so the driven wheel is able to turn freely. Now that is a freewheel. Let's have a look at the actual print. There's the drive wheel, and obviously you put a big old cog on it so they can actually drive it, and that's the top section. If we take the top section off, that's the lower section that we looked at in the drawing. Now these two pegs take these. These are the poles. And you can see I put a little spring in there, because if you don't put a spring into the poles, then they won't spring back, and the whole thing will come to pieces. So the springs go into little holes there. There we go. Now when the pole gets knocked out of the way, it can spring back, but it always stays in an engaged position, ready to drive the driven wheel. We put this one back on because it's got two of them. You can do as many as you like. Two is pretty normal actually, although you sometimes see three. And if we put that on the driven wheel, on the ratchet there that we've got, there we go. As we turn it in that direction, it engages with the ratchet and the poles push the ratchet around. But when we stop turning the drive wheel, and this has got momentum, it will continue to turn, pushing the poles out of the way, which is why we've got the springs, and now this lower wheel is free to turn, and that's the freewheel. If we put that together, then these will be held in place, and we can drive this, which will drive this, but when we stop driving this, that will continue to turn, and that is exactly how your bicycle freewheel works, and it's based on the Archimedes catapult. So let's put that together. The poles are on their pegs, and you'll notice the little springs are right there, and they're in fact springs from a ballpoint pen, and they just act to push the pole back out, so the pole can get pushed out of the way, but it comes back out to engage. And now we put that section on, which is the top of the drive wheel, and it just engages with those four pegs there. Okay, that's our drive wheel. If we turn that over, there you go, you can see the poles sticking out there and there, and we put the driven wheel into there, making sure that the poles engage. Oh, and now with an axle, it's all in registration, and if I turn that wheel in the right direction, of course the whole unit turns. If I give that a fast spin, then when that one stops spinning, you'll notice that one continues to spin. It even sounds like a freewheel. Okay, we need to put that into a structure. And there it is, finished. I mean, I love that bit, hey? 5 seconds later, it's a complete machine. You miss the hours of tinkering with this, putting the magnets together and gluing one to my eyelid, and then suddenly it's all finished. But it's finished. We've got a 2-to-1 gear ratio. I'm going to turn it by the handle, and we'll obviously get this little LED to light, and then we should get the thing to run on a little bit, because it's a little bit light, but it will act as a flywheel. But let's see if we can actually do that with a little bit of darkness. Igor, throw the switch! There we go! I'll do it again so you can see that run on a bit. And there you go, it's acting as a freewheel, which is exactly what we want. Like I say, if this was a heavy flywheel, that would be like the bicycle wheel that we began this video with. It just would run on and on and on. But that's how you make a freewheel. That's how you apply it to a generation, and of course it is immensely useful. It's the same mechanism you find in those wrenches, the ratchet wrenches that go left or right. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe.